Okay, great. Everyone should have the notification. Okay. All right, let's dive into it. Let's call the meeting to order at 7:04. We'll go through, and if we could do roll first, Paul?
Yes. Sharon Briscoe.
Present.
Aye. Allison Thompson. I see you there. Katrina Fuller. Yep. Molly Campbell.
Present.
Monica Waldman.
Present.
Ashley Hanshaw.
Present.
Elizabeth Broderick.
Present.
Ann Weidert. And Katie Zabrowski.
Present.
I'm sorry, do we have Ann Weidert? We do not. Okay. Okay. We have a quorum.
Excellent. Let's go ahead. I'm just pulling up the agenda right now, but I think the first thing we have on the plate is to go ahead and approve the minutes from January. And let's see if I can share those for you. Oh, Paul, do you have those that you can throw up? I gave the screen sharing. Okay.
Yes. Share screen. So we approved previous agenda, previous minutes. So these are the rankings of the select priorities that I understood. Is
Yeah, you
everybody
have it
agree that's
correct.
correct? Okay.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve, Katie Zabrowski.
Is there a second?
Second, Monica Waldman.
Okay, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay. I think that was everyone, correct? Yeah.
Correct.
Anyone opposed? Okay, great. All right, so then the minutes have been approved. And we can go on to our next, I'm just trying to locate the agenda. Okay. All right. Oh, excuse me, we have to approve the agenda. So let me
Right.
share that with
Yeah,
you
sorry,
right
I
now.
just-
No worries, then I have it up right here. Let me
Okay.
see, I just found it. Yep. Okay, here we go. Everyone should have that up. This will be our agenda for this evening. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve tonight's agenda, Katie Zabrowski.
Okay, is there a second?
Second, Elizabeth Broderick.
Great. All those in favor say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Okay, so that passes and we have our agenda set. Our next is a public comment minute. I think we do have someone here from the public. Anyone here from the public that would like to speak for a couple minutes? Let's see. Ram?
It's just really,
Yep.
it's Pari,
Yep.
Mr. Ram.
Yep.
If you're
Okay.
interested in,
We also have another chance at the end of the meeting if you want to say some comments then as well. If not, we'll just continue moving on then to our discussion items. First one up and the major one is the budget presentation and feedback section. So I'll just go ahead and let Principal Briscoe take that away. I'm going to stop
Okay.
sharing mine if you want to.
yeah. Hold on 1 second. Okay, so. Let me just, it gives me a little bit of a fit sometimes. To hear all that beeping. When it stops, I'll know I have it. Oh, there it goes. Okay, hold on. Okay. All right, so here we are. Let me see, I'm going back to our original. I'll just do a very quick and brief review of what we talked about last time. Here's our budget. We're expecting about 115 less students. And we talked about the student success formula, where each student earns 4582. And then we talked about the weighting, and which gives us a total budget of $5,375,973. And so I'm just going to show you what I did. There was not much to do to get us to balance to zero. And so what we have here is, I'll just review again what we have, which is the 4 teachers on each grade level. You see that it says 3 in kindergarten. The reason why is because one of those positions is being paid for by CARES Act. It's the last year for the CARES Act. And so I put just 1 teacher position in there because I'm assuming that after next year, we'll probably go down a little bit more in enrollment, because these 2 grades are rolling off, 97 in 5th grade, then the next year 100. So, that'll give us a little bit less. We may end up earning with 1 less teacher. We had a long discussion about the STEM lab teacher versus the STEM, the signature program support specialist, and I did talk to the district, and it is indeed the reason why the numbers look like that is because that person is paid, because it's the average salary. Teachers draw 95,000 where the support person draws 106. And so I left that position as is, and I added a 0.5. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that at the end. Here is our band, music, art, PE, which is all the same. Our gifted, this is I added a 0.5 there also. So just hold on until I get to the end. We have our 2 EIP teachers. We have our special education. And this ESOL is staff. We're at actually a 0.1. I put Spanish as a 1.0. And we'll take the ESOL support from the district. There's only 2 students currently at Maryland that have that. This 0.5 is our special ed lead teacher, speech language pathologist, 2 special ed parapros, 3 kindergarten paras. 1 of them is in the CARES budget. This 0.5 paraprofessional and 0.5 non-instructional aid, that is currently the position that's used to be the cafeteria monitor, who is currently Coach D. And then we have our PE para. Then we have the principal, the assistant principal, the school secretary, the clerk, 1 counselor, 2 instructional coaches, a media specialist, a school nurse. This 0.25 and 0.25 is band and orchestra. We pay for a half-time. The other half is paid for by the school that we share with Sandy Wade. We have our social worker. That's also paid for by the district, so it doesn't come out of my budget. We reduced our SST intervention specialist to 0.5 because we're going to have about half of the students that we have now that are currently in SST. The other half will be at Spark, and we'll be partnering with Spark for that position. And then we have the custodians, site manager, and that should be it. Okay, so what I did when we talked about like how you can manipulate, what I did is I took our reserve money, which was at about $81,000. Or I actually, it might have been 83. I can't remember exactly what it was. And I took half of it. The reason why I did that is because we want to be, it wasn't enough to pay for a whole teacher anyway. So this reserve would pay for a parapro in case we have to level if our enrollment is below 540. They're going to take some money away from us. So this gives us the opportunity to have a little bit of cushion, or at least 10 students before having to even think about losing a person. I added some secretary overtime. I had been talking to some principals at our budget training sessions, and I always just beg our poor secretary to volunteer her time. I didn't know that was, it's not something I've ever done before, so I put it in there to let you guys talk about it. And then what was left over, I put in the teaching supplies. So what that did for us, and which is not very much money at all in this teaching supplies, but that's why I use our foundation for materials and supplies instead of using our my budget, because I can't buy people with the foundation. So I'm going to go back to the staffing. What I did is, by reducing this, I was able to purchase an additional person. And what I chose to do with the additional person is expand it to our gate. So we currently have 2 gate teachers, and then we have an hourly gate teacher who for 5th grade. Our gate population is not going to be significantly lower. I'm still going to have 2 teachers for grades 1, 2, 3, and 4. We don't have a 5th grade person. So what I would like to do is use that other half of a position to continue to manage the STEM lab. So everybody loves the STEM lab. You know, we're looking for our STEAM certification, and you know, I'm sure that your kids talk to you about how much they love it. What this position is supposed to be doing is a lot of paperwork-based. It's a paperwork-based job trying to get our certification, right? So Stephanie is the only person that in our cluster that is released from the classroom to do STEAM certification work that also sees students. So what we're trying to do is use a person to make up the, pick up the slack so that we can maintain having our STEM lab, we can maintain having our gate instruction, and then also maintain our quest for STEAM certification. So that's where that extra 1.0 person came from, and that money came from non-staffing from the reserve. So that is what I have. Yeah. And I will stop sharing, or I can keep it on there if you guys want to talk about it and ask questions. I can go back to a particular line item.
I have just 2 quick questions. For the half STEM, half gifted, are you actually thinking you'd be able to find one person who could do both, or do you think you'd still have to searching?
One person.
Okay.
It'll likely be a staff member that's already in the building. You know, when that position is going to be very coveted, and there's a lot of talent that is interested in doing that. You have to obviously be gifted certified to do it. But I like that because that lets the person who is managing the students in the STEAM lab be able to use their gifted strategies. And that's what's happening now. Stephanie is doing all that, but she's also doing all this, you know, mountain of paperwork, and it's just not sustainable.
Yeah. The other question I had was thinking about the foundation and whether you think any shifts in their ability to fundraise next year could potentially impact what you've relied upon them for in the past.
Yeah, you know, we talk about that. We have talked about that as the foundation. I think that it's going to balance itself out. I don't have any great fears that we're, you know, with less students comes less money going out. So for example, when we train teachers, instead of training, you know, 10 teachers, we might only have to train 5 new ones. Or when we are purchasing materials that require, you know, something for the whole school, like a subscription, we're paying for less subscriptions because we have less children.
Sure. Makes
So
sense.
I feel pretty confident. You know, the foundation did very well. We exceeded our goal this year. You guys should have seen yesterday when the teachers won their prizes for the classroom competition. It was a fever pitch of excitement. You know, and we were, you know, there was some worry that maybe we weren't going to hit our foundation goal because we did the PTA fundraiser, but it was fine.
Good.
Any other questions or comments or fears or thoughts or challenges to this budget? I will be meeting on the 21st of February next week when all of you are on vacation with with the staffing team, and so we'll be going through this. I currently do not have any abolishments that I have to make because we have enough people who are naturally planning on not returning, so that the staff that we would have lost, nobody is going to be abolished from their positions. I may, in fact, be able to end up hiring somebody.
Ms. Briscoe,
Yes.
I remember there was a question about your ability to shrink the reserve in order to use it for, you know, more staff. What was it? Can you just remind me what was the determining factor there and how you
That allowed me to do it?
Yeah.
I begged.
Okay.
My argument is that Mary Lynn runs on a very, very lean budget as is.
Right.
Okay. So, you know, there's a lot of schools that have that they earn additional money based upon this allocation, what we talked about before. So there are schools that have a that their poverty, ours is $16,000, but because we only have 7 students that qualify, imagine we had 400 students that qualify, right? So our biggest lift comes in gifted, but gifted doesn't give nearly the same, doesn't give the same weight. In addition to that, the EIP, which is the biggest lift, other schools get a huge poverty, they get huge EIP, and then some get small school supplement, and they also get Title I funding. So because we don't get any of that, our budget just tends to run really lean. So my argument is that it's very rare, it's very unlikely that we're going to be under the 540, particularly that since we're allowing in a few transfers. So I don't see us losing more than $45,000. I don't see us being 10 students under. So that's the reason. And so
Okay.
So we'll see, you know, I'm talking to you guys about it, but then I got to present this to the staffing team and they might say, nope. But this is what I'm crossing my fingers going for it.
Would you scroll down a little bit for me? So did I hear correctly? Yeah, I'm trying to find it. Did I hear correctly then? You're taking it from a 1 to 0.5 for, is it the SST?
No, it's gifted.
No,
Oh, yes, the SST, the MTSS position. Let me show you where it is. That is under support staff. A lot of people only have a 0.5 now. We always maintained a 1.0 because we wanted to make sure that we had that person in the building all the time supporting. but we are able to look at our roster to see who will be staying and leaving. And we are about, I think I gave the numbers last time, we're about at half where we are. So we can afford to use that person for half. They would not have anything to do all day. This is the SST intervention specialist. So this is not different than what I shared the last time. So, you know, the number of 504s and the number of open SST cases will reduce dramatically.
So I had a quick question just to make sure that I understood or remembered correctly from the last time that the STEM position, you were going to go and clarify whether it could be paid at the teacher level versus, you know, the higher, maybe administrative level. And it looks like you have done that because I think it's in there at the teacher salary level, but that has also gone up to 1.5. So just clarifying that with the full position plus half of a position, that both of those can be paid at the teacher salary level.
Yes, so definitely the 0.5 will. We brought that to the attention of the district, the powers that be who determine this at our meeting, at our budget workshop meeting last week. And we're still waiting for a firm answer, but everybody in the room agreed, like it really just doesn't make any sense. So the argument that we have is like they can either increase, if I'm paying more, then I want the teacher that's doing the job to be paid more. I don't want to pay more and then they still get the same salary. That's what the problem was, is that even though I'm paying $11,000 more, that money is literally just going into the hole because the teacher doesn't see $1 of that. So I have to anticipate whether or not they will accept that, or whether or not they're going to change the salary for all of the people who are in that position, and it'd be a district-wide decision. So they'll let me know at the staffing conference if that will fly or not.
And is there if that doesn't fly and you boost it up to the higher level, where do you think you would have to pull from?
I would have to go back to the drawing board probably and see what else we can do. It may be something that I might have to do. Let me just stop sharing that and share my CARES budget. Okay, so it might have to, can you see this?
Yep.
It might have to come from here. All right, so in the CARES budget, it's only $156,000. I put 90 for the teacher salary because they actually take the actual salary and not the average salary for the CARES budget. And so I'm just going to put a teacher with a really low salary on there. So I might end up getting a couple $1,000s here. Same thing with the paraprofessional that's on here. The reason why I ended up making it this number was to balance the budget to 0. And a para draws $44,000 off of the budget, but I will put the least senior para in that position also. And so I may earn a couple of $1,000s from there. It's just a game of balancing. And then also in this budget, I have 29 weeks and 10 hours a week for an hourly teacher. We have that currently now. We have some teachers who have left the district and come back and work with us a couple hours a day. And then this right here, this is our crossing guard, the hourly non-instructional para. So what normally she does is work in the morning as a crossing guard, and then she comes and works at the school doing, supporting in the cafeteria, supporting teachers with, copies and just organizational things. It's good to have an additional person in the building. So I put some money aside for those two positions also. So it may be that I have to cut that. I don't know. It will depend.
Could that be another position that takes that role on, like a full-time that takes that?
A full-time instead of this right here?
Could those duties be absorbed by someone else at the school,
No,
full or part-time?
no.
No.
This is for, this hourly teacher is for small group instruction.
Okay.
It's just an additional support for students who are struggling. We only hire people who were like vetted Mary Lynn teachers, so it's just having an additional person.
Excuse me, no, I was referring to the non-instructional, that 11,000. If you mentioned that you might have to get creative with that. Could that be absorbed by another person at the school?
No.
No. What is the amount for the transitional supplement this year? Because that's only 1 year, and then the CARES, this is the last year. So next year it's going to be a big drop.
Next year is going to be less.
So do you consider that, I guess, when you're making these decisions, because like, do you bring on a teacher just to have a teacher vacate next year? I mean, how does that influence what's going on?
I'm not bringing
That's
on
two.
We're not bringing on a teacher.
So I guess for next year, then, I mean, you'd have to reduce somewhere.
Yeah, I really can't speak to, like, this year I could not have generated from the thoughts of last year's budget. I will have to be presented with new data. I don't know what the funding formula is going to be. I don't know how they will organize this. I mean, if we continue to shrink, we may end up earning a small school supplement. So I really don't, I have to do it from year to year.
Right.
What I don't want to do
long-term planning,
is load my CARES Act with teachers, and then knowing that they're going to go away. But we're talking about such small amounts of money. I can literally only afford one teacher in the CARES Act anyway. I mean, that's it. I can afford one teacher and one para, and that's it.
Which that's about what, like 130, 100? Because a teacher's 90 and a para
teacher is 95,311, I think. Let's see. Okay. 95,311, and a para is 44,197.
Yeah, okay.
But that's this year.
Right.
There's no telling what next year is going to look like, because what they're using is the average salary of teachers. So, will teachers be getting a raise? That's all of that is a factor that can't, we just have to think about 23, 24. And then next year we'll be in the same position where we're thinking about 24, 25. Not with, just throwing caution to the wind. Like, for example, I know that it would not be a smart idea for me with a shrinking population to buy another 0.5 counselor, for example, because I'm reducing my student population by 115 students. So that would not make sense, and it would not be something that I could maintain. There's no position that's being added. There's no extra person that we have for this FY24 that we didn't have this year.
We're just changing. So like the 0.5 gate is that other person coming in to help out.
Right, but that person will be somebody who already exists from our school building. So if I end up having to cut that position, then that person would go back into a classroom. We had a lot of parent feedback about the 5th grade gate model. And that is why we got so fortunate to be able to hire an hourly person. The hourly person I hired was a retired gate teacher from Mary Lynn. We have currently a retired gate person from Brandon that's working at our school as a long-term substitute for Amanda Estes while she's in maternity leave, but I begged her and she won't do it. So I can't just, it has to be somebody who has chops, you know, who is good and it is worth the money. So, you know, I don't want to just hire any person, just like I don't want to hire any person to be an hourly teacher for additional support for students who struggle. Okay, any other questions about the budget?
There's a script. Let me go through that they want us to, looks like. Now that you've gone through that, it says, okay, all right. I'll just read from it. Thank you, Principal Briscoe, for sharing this information. We'll need to discuss the draft budget to ensure it addresses our school's strategic plan. Some of the questions for us to consider during our discussion, which is kind of what we've already gone through, but are our school's priorities reflected in the budget? And once again, I can pull that up, or is that in, I think there's a section in your presentation. Do you have that in yours?
In mine?
Yeah, there's an area for the ranking. Do you have that by chance?
And I'm not really sure what you're referring. You're talking about the PowerPoint I sent you?
Yeah, you should have that. Let me see. It has a place for the strategic plan. Let me see. I think I added it in mine. I'm going to share mine real fast. There we go. Okay. All right. Okay, so here are once again our rankings, and I guess we just need to go through and based on everything we've heard, you know, do what we've heard, does that align with the priorities that we voted on? Can everyone see that okay?
It's a little small for me. I'm old lady eyes.
Ew. Better?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. So all the members, you guys have any feedback about it based on those are the priorities and what we've just heard?
I mean, I would say from my perspective, given the trade-offs that we have to make, it seems to me that we are addressing the priorities, certainly academic needs of the students, social and emotional as well, I think. The second one around cultivating curiosity learning, I feel like STEM Lab goes right into that. The only one that maybe isn't as explicit is the embracing diverse families, collaborative school culture, embracing diverse families. But I feel like everything we talked about last time was how the priority was to put money into having the right people in the building to support the broader goals of the school. So to me, that lines up as well.
Thank you, Elizabeth. All right. Any of the teachers, any input from the teachers?
Hanshaw, Campbell.
I think Elizabeth is
Mulder.
absolutely right that having the right people in the right places is the most bang for our buck for all of those things. And we have such an amazing team that the way that Ms. Briscoe kind of juggles and staffs, we're really able to target exactly what we want to target. And I feel like those things are just strengths of Mary Lynn, and that the budget supports the strengths that are there.
I think also as a teacher, having like an amazing community of teachers at Mary Lynn and having Ms. Briscoe as our leader and having her not necessarily abolishing anybody's position and making sure that everybody's in the right place is actually a really good thing for for a plan.
Ability.
All right, any other parent?
Nobody wants.
I will just say, like, for the unique opportunities, I want to stress that one of the things that a lot of schools end up cutting are their arts programs. And I'm just really happy that we're able to keep our band and orchestra alive. We're able to continue to offer, all of the standards of service that we're required to without it, being a hardship for us. So.
And Spark, is that who we share Miss Wade with?
Currently, but that's not necessarily who she's going to be with next year.
Okay. But the arrangement still is a 0.5.
0.5.
is- We can. Great. All right. Any other input on that?
I would just say that the staffing decisions that Ms. Briscoe reviewed seem to reflect these priorities fairly well.
Okay, let me stop the share. I'll go back to the agenda.
Diane, do you get the lovely opportunity to come to all of the staffing conferences? No. It's a long day.
I am just in the governance role. So, yeah, just.
I can't imagine what they do having to do that over and over and over again. It looks very different per school. I can tell you that.
I can tell you I think you guys are my 5th meeting today, 4th.
Mhm.
So even each one of these presentations is very different as to, so.
Yeah, you can attest to the fact that our budget is lean. We don't have, some schools have a math coach, a science coach, a social studies coach, and
I mean, but they've made different choices.
they've
right?
made different choices.
So I have one school where there's a priority to have very small student teacher ratios. So they've made choices to not have other staff, where others want more intervention specialists. So maybe their classes are a little larger.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
Very different.
Yes, there, but I mean, that's the advantage
Yeah.
of being in a charter system. And we have a number of new principals, and they're like, this is the first time I've gotten to do this, because in most other system, what happens is that you're just allocated people.
Yeah,
And
that's true.
you don't
That's how it used to be here.
right. And you don't, and our principals don't have that
Yeah.
autonomy to say, no, this is what I need in my building. I know my people, this is the skill set I need to bring in. So yeah.
Yeah.
For your community, the principal Briscoe, if you could, like, the PowerPoint and maybe fill out some of those.
I wanted to make sure that we had this done first, and then I'm going to go ahead and follow back up with it.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so this is where we are now. So we can work through this PowerPoint if you want to. This is what we're supposed to present tonight.
Yeah, so those priorities that we shared, we can just put those 3 right in those sections, and then just talk about the rationale. I don't mind just filling that in, what we just literally talked about.
And these 2 slides, by the way, were in your allocation meeting PowerPoint. So if you did it in the allocation meeting, you can just copy and paste it here.
Yeah, exactly. Now this part, Diane, what's happening with this? What is this specifically asking us? What is this something that every school is mandated to do based on? How is this different than the 2 slides before? That's the question.
Okay, so the 2 slides before set the foundation for the governance team, right? Because, okay, these are the things, these are what we are keeping, are prioritizing, and this is our North Star. This is where we're going. What these slides are not necessarily exactly how many kindergarten teachers or how many first grade teachers that you're hiring, but for like to build the teacher capability to meet the diverse needs, you might have the APS 5 focus area might be whole child, and your strategy is some kind of professional development. And so your request would be, $20,000 for the or a specific professional development plan, and then the amount's 20,000. So it doesn't have to go down to the penny for your budget, but it just kind of shows how you're addressing some of those big buckets of those priorities.
So for example, for the providing the unique learning experience, I would literally just put on there
Like
personalized learning, and then the amount would be the 0.5 of the teacher.
Yeah, or
The
like
request is purchase 0.5 of a teacher.
yeah, and like your STEM teacher, might the STEM teacher that you were talking about.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I will do that, Katrina, so that everybody doesn't have to do that on the phone.
I mean, I think you spoke to all of this, but
Mhm.
this just kind of summarizes so that you don't have to put all that information from the back end.
Right.
From
Yeah,
finance.
that's why I was like, let me just wait, and then I'm just gonna put on there what we talked about.
And you talked about your CARES allocation.
Yes.
And then this is just copy and paste from, which it looks like you already did. You copy and pasted.
Yep.
This is a summary of everything you just talked about.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so just moving on through.
And you talked about your
The
level.
reserve fund, that if we, so the answer to that question is if we have any money left over, which would be $45,000, then what I will do with it, and I'll put it on there also just so everybody knows, is to increase the my hourly allocation, and also put the rest in materials and supplies, because we only have $27,000 for the whole school year. So that's what will happen there. And that is for paper and, everything that we use in the office. Folders, envelopes, stamps, So that's what I'll be putting in there. That's the reserve $45,000 that we're talking about. If I had $150,000 in reserves, I might say, well, I'll hire a teacher and then I'll use the rest, but we don't really have anything in there.
All right, those are the same questions there. Okay. All right, so there's nothing to vote on now. I believe you'll go back. Your meeting is when? Let's see, when's your?
The 21st.
The 21st, okay. And does anyone know when our next GO-TEAM meeting is? Does anyone have that up? Anyone?
Anyone?
All right,
Bueller?
let me look for it. Hold
I think it's March 15th, but I can double check.
I have the 15th.
Yeah.
on. 15th, okay. So is that going to coincide? Let's see. So that gives you a couple of days for it to be approved by. Do we need to move up that meeting if it's just a quick?
I feel
time?
like no, I was about to say, I feel like March 15th is our movie night, but it's not. I think it's March 17th. And then I feel like March 16th, let me just look on my thing, is the foundation donor night. Let me just make sure I have those dates right so I can make sure that I am not double and triple booked, which happens. All right, let's see, calendar. I'm sorry, I'm spinning. I'm no longer responding. I'm sorry. Let me see. I'll close the program.
That's okay. We can verify it, but you.
Yeah,
you
I'm
think
pretty
maybe that might
sure. I'm pretty sure that that 15th date is good. I know we just had to make a change to the donor party because the host of the donor party is the baby's birthday. Let's see. Hold on one second. It's back up and running now. March 15 Go Team. Okay.
I found that draft invite for it, but it says date TBD.
Yeah, it is the 16th. Great. Okay.
16th,
So
okay.
the 17th is the part. Okay, yeah. So we can do that. 15th is good.
Okay, great. All right. So next on the agenda, we have, if any other discussion and questions regarding the budget before we head out of that. Okay, so let's move along. I threw in there just the Midtown Cluster advisory team update. It's been a while. I don't know if you guys have had a recent meeting or not. So I just want to give an opportunity for you to talk if you have anything to share.
We have not
Allison?
had a cluster advisory meeting.
Okay.
One on the schedule. But Allison, are you the rep for that?
I am. I was gonna
Uh,
say, Katrina, I think the last meeting was the one that I had the last minute scheduling conflict and you were gracious enough to step in, and I can't even now remember when that was. The next meeting is, I think, on March 2nd. So we'll have another one before, I guess, between this Go Team meeting and our next one.
Okay, thank you. It had dropped off of the agenda. I was just a little concerned I had not put it back on for you. Okay. Moving along then, our next is going to be future agenda items. Once we finish with the budget, got a little bit of spare time. So I just wanted to go through anyone who's, when you joined, what anything you hope to accomplish, any questions you had, is there anything that we want to put on going forward? Any pet projects or anything you want to discuss?
I think we should
Anyone have any
definitely
goals?
include the conversation about the overcrowding at Midtown. That's something that's going on right now. There's actually a meeting at King Middle School that just started at 6, and then there was also a noon meeting. And so far, there's no proposals about what to do about the overcrowding at Midtown, but I do think that it would be a good idea for the Go Team to just be a part of the discussion. And make a determination of whether or not there's any statements that want to be made by the Go Team about the possibility of the solutions.
No, that's a good point. And the PTA met on Monday and had a rather long meeting about a letter that they issued as well. So that, along with the 2 meetings today, I'm sure it's going to ramp up. Okay, we can add
It was
that.
a rather long meeting, wasn't it?
Okay. All right. Well,
But
let's not
I
follow their trends.
didn't want to keep anybody else. If there's something that you think that is important that we put on our agenda to talk about, we can do that.
If anyone thinks of something between now and when we do the next one, we can always modify our agenda. So,
also, Katrina, I think that we need to start talking about those who are rolling off and rolling on. And I know that there's a coming up soon. Diane, do you know what the deadline is? When it opens? The declarations?
So declarations are currently open until February 28th. Hopefully,
That is, I didn't even know they were open. How long have they been open?
since February 1st.
Hmm.
Um,
Did you all know that?
I got an email about it, I think yesterday.
okay,
All
yeah.
right, that's something that definitely needs to go in the rocket blast tomorrow.
Yeah, we need at least one parent and one staff member to declare their candidacy. Anybody on the team, you should have received an email telling you when your term ends. And if your term is ending in June of 2023, if you're eligible based off of terms, you still have to meet all the other eligibility requirements, i.e. have a student at Maryland. If for whatever reason you're not going to be serving again, either because you've served 2 terms or you're not eligible, or you just don't want to be on Go Team anymore, I am sure that Principal Briscoe would be very appreciative if you could help find somebody to declare and run for the team. So
Name your replacement.
hey, I'm listening to the PTA talk. I come from a long line of long tenure with PTA, and man, that was find your replacement. Just fine.
Diane, is there a something that maybe like went out in the P3 or something that I missed that has the links for the parents for the people to do their declaration?
APSstrongschools.com. It's on our landing page for the Go Teams.
Okay. Okay. What is the likelihood of getting an extension from the 28th? And I say that because we have tomorrow and then we're off for the week.
We're hoping that we'll get people.
Okay.
I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I don't know what.
Yeah, I mean, it's just tough because I know that a lot of families will be traveling and going out, teachers will be out of off as well. And I just don't want to, it's really like I'm giving people a 3-day deadline.
Well, I mean, they have the 2 days when they get back, and I mean, it's just a quick declaration, so it's not
not where they have to fill out like an information sheet about themselves.
Yeah, they do, but I mean, it shouldn't take them too long. Oh, you don't have our marquee. I'll have to fix that. We got never mind. I'm going to put a marquee on your page. Comms helped us, and most other schools' web pages have a marquee going across the top, so people can just.
Yeah, I was about to say because I feel a little behind the 8 ball on that one, but that's okay.
Ms.
I think
Briscoe,
last year we ended up getting an extension, the whole district.
Ms. Briscoe, I'm gonna recommend and approach the person that you recommended last year. Yes.
Great.
I'll reach out to that person again.
Mm-hmm. That was the person that you were thinking about for the swing seat. Yeah, great.
A parent at Mary.
Okay, fantastic.
I was just going to ask what the qualifications are for swing seat, because this will be the end of my 2nd term. And so I don't know.
Yeah, but you can do 2 terms, Katie. I'm just kidding.
This is the 2nd.
No, this is the 2nd year of your 1 term.
Now wait a second.
I'm messing with Katie.
No, I just didn't know, since I'll be on the hunt for a swing seat person who, if there are any, qualifying factors that.
They do not have, they need to be a community member. They don't have to be it. They don't have to be a, I feel like
swing seat can be parent, staff, or community.
Parent, staff, or community. And it doesn't matter if they work in an APS school, because it could be a staff member. So it's wide open.
Correct.
Wide open.
And Mrs. Zabrowski, you are eligible to serve again, but
Miss Diane, that is sweet of you to say. I do appreciate that.
You're allowed 4 years before you have to take a break. So
That is sweet of you to say. I will definitely consider that while searching for a swing seat replacement. So
So-
thank you.
I guess the other thing I would say about this is, it'd be nice if we got a little bit of, I mean, I'm sure Paul would appreciate some gender diversity on the Go team, and
Yeah.
there may be other, kind of rounding out things that we need to look for, to make it a little bit more representative of our Maryland community. So I think
Yeah.
thinking about that would be important. And then my question is too, because I don't know this. I mean, as far as, parents who are currently on the Go team and making sure that, the students are sort of appropriately spaced, I guess, between grades and, various other areas of need within the school, whether there's a gap that we want to try to fill. If we're going to be
So
pulling.
in terms of a community member in the swing seat, those are things that we can manipulate. But in terms of parents vote on parents. So you have to, we can try to encourage a more
Exactly.
diverse slate to apply or to throw their name in the hat, but they still have to be voted on by the peers. So
Well, that's, I guess, my question is, I mean, can we identify any gaps where we might ought to go out and try to do that encouraging? I mean,
well, that we would just have to determine that right here. So like, who's rolling off this year?
that I don't know.
So just Katrina and Katie. And I think
Anne,
that,
I believe.
and who else?
Anne?
Oh, and Anne, yeah, and Anne. So the question would be, so Paul will have the second grader. Allison, what will you have?
A fifth grader.
Okay, and Elizabeth will have a third. So we got
And
second, third, and fifth.
Miss Campbell's also rolling off. There are 4 people.
Oh, and
rolling.
Campbell's rolling off. Okay. So, Molly, you can do 2 years. You can do 2 terms. I'm just
Go ahead,
I'll take it
Molly.
under consideration.
Go ahead, Molly.
So it looks like, we have the upper grades, 3rd and 5th covered. We got a second grader, maybe we should try for a kindergarten. Some fresh meat.
I'll have somebody in pre-K next year, so kind of have that covered.
Can't wait. I hope
Yeah.
that pre-K, is with us, because if I could get to see her every day at school, that would make my day. That's my
Can
friend.
an incoming kindergarten parent, I guess one that they're about to attend next year, can they run for it? Or do you have to physically already have your kid in the school?
We have to have a record in Infinite Campus that a household has a student at that school. So.
And by you have, when does that record from Infinite Campus have to be done by? By the time the voting starts?
No, because we have to send we send all the stuff off to the election vendor before spring break, because that's how we can get our mailings in and everything else. So,
Okay, so the answer is no rise in kindergarten.
yeah, because we have
Unless that person could serve as a community member.
a community or swing. Yeah.
Mhm.
I have a feeling that given everything that's happening with the Midtown cluster, people might have a more vested interest this year. So I think, getting the word out, and obviously we don't influence the redistricting decisions necessarily, but if people want to understand, want to have a view for how things are going to affect the school, it'd be an interesting place to land. I think maybe, Ms. Briscoe, when you're advertising, maybe drop that in.
I will. I also just happen to have a whole bunch of neighbors around me with little kids. And I already got one, she's gonna be on the foundation. I'm begging one to be on the PTA. Lots of new littles in Candler Park.
Okay.
Principal Briscoe, I was able to put the marquee on both your homepage for Mary Lynn and on the Go team for Mary Lynn.
Excellent, thank you.
But the webpage is apsstrongschools.com, where
Yeah.
the Claire link is. So.
Mhm.
All right, perfect. Well, let's move along. Any public comment? All right. Seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay,
That's
at
also going to be
8:04.
one thing I look for when I'm looking for my replacement is someone who is ready to do the motions.
Katie, you carry us. You carry us. So, all right. Is there a second?
Second,
Molly? Okay, great. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Seeing none, we're adjourned. All right.
All right, I'll
Thank you
let
very
you
much,
guys know how
everyone.
it goes.
Good luck. Good luck. The
And just
21st, right?
one quick reminder, do your budget training, 5 minutes. 5-minute video, 10 questions. Knock it out.
Thank you very much.
I
Thank
did
you,
it.
guys. Oh,
Good
good
night,
job, Paul.
everyone.